Hello again. Today we're going to continue on with exponential functions, but instead of doing natural logs, we're going to talk about the base of e. Okay, so this is actually section 5.4, a derivative of exponential functions. When we have the derivative, or when we have an exponential functions, we're again talking about with a base of e, so that's going to look like this. E to the x power, or it might not be an x, it might be something else, so we'll talk about that here in just a second. The derivative of this is simply just the exact same thing, okay, unless it's different than an x. But if it's just an x, the derivative of e to the x power is just e to the x power. But what if it has something else? For instance, let's say a u. Because we know that we've talked about u's before being something other than just a single variable. So we would write this like this: f prime of x equals e to the u times du dx. So basically e to the u power, so bring it all over, times the derivative of whatever the u is. And even if you think about it, up top here on e to the x, the derivative of x is 1, so we'd write times 1, but that really wouldn't change anything, so that's why we didn't write it up here. Okay, so let's look at some examples, and it'll hopefully make a little bit of sense. First example, maybe. Oops. Letter A. Find the derivative of y equals e to the 2x minus 1. Now notice that this one is not just an x, so we can't just rewrite it. We're going to have to add some extra derivative stuff in. So the derivative of y equals, rewrite the whole thing, e to the 2x minus 1, times the derivative of whatever the exponent was. So the derivative of 2x minus 1 is just 2, so it's going to be times 2. And then for me, you guys know how I could be sometimes. For the rewriting, I'm just going to rewrite it and do 2 times e to the 2x minus 1, just because it looks prettier. And that's it. Okay, letter B. Y equals e to the negative 3 over x power. Okay, y prime equals e to the negative 3x, or 3 over x, times the derivative of everything on side. But this is where I'm going to use that u stuff. So u equals negative 3 over x. We're going to rewrite that as negative 3 over x minus 1 to the x to the negative 1. So u prime equals positive 3 times x to the negative second, which is 3 over x to the second. All of this is going to be what goes right here. So what I do then is I rewrite it and do 3 e to the negative 3x all over x squared. So there you go. So again, it's just e to the whatever the power times the derivative of whatever the power was. Okay, so example 2. Let's apply a little bit more to it. What if there is something being multiplied to it? So f of x equals x times e to the x. Well, that's multiplication in between there, so we're going to use the product rule. Okay. And if you remember, the product rule is the derivative of the first times the second, so f prime of x, derivative of the first, which is 1, times the second, e to the x, plus the derivative of the second, but the derivative of e to the x is just e to the x, times the first, which is just x. So one thing that we've been working on, and if you guys remember, is if they have something in common, let's factor it out. So they both have an e to the x. I'm going to factor that out, which leaves 1 plus x left over. Okay, so just factoring out that GCF. Good. And last one, example 3. What about a chain rule, so f of x equals e, or parentheses, e to the negative 2x plus 3, all of that squared. So now we're going to be talking about the chain rule. Okay, so f prime of x equals 2 times everything on the inside, negative 2x plus 3, times the derivative of everything on the inside. The derivative of e to the negative 2x is e to the negative 2x, but don't forget the derivative of the exponent, so times the derivative of the exponent, which is, let's put all this in brackets, negative 2, times the plus the derivative of 3, but that's just 0, so we're not going to write it. I'm going to make this just a little bit neater, multiply things that can go together. Negative 2 and 2 is negative 4. Bring the e to the negative 2x to the front, and then times e to the negative 2x plus 3. Alright, so there you go. You can leave it just like that. Alright, well that's it. Your homework is posted on Classroom.